Welcome guys, it's Glenn from Launch. Today I'm going to introduce to you two new products that we're releasing this quarter. Now these two products are based around the immobilizer key programming and also the engine ECU programming and cloning on some vehicles. It's required these days. Now these products also are added to the current series of products, which is the Pro series and the Pad series. Now the products themselves also have a new names, so we've actually called them X-431 IMMO Pro and X-431 IMMO Pad. And in this presentation I'll cover the Pro first, its features, and then we'll carry on to the Pad itself. With the IMMO Pro, it's gives us the ability to bring a professional anti-theft tool in and also a full diagnostic tool in. Now, I mentioned before, this is focused around the immobilizer key programming and engine ECU programming. So this has a new product line which goes towards the development of the software, and this will focus on mainly the areas of the immobilizer area and programming of the engine ECUs or cloning of ECUs, and regarding the programming and updating of that unit. Now the unit itself has a new tablet, also a new APK, and has a brand new connector, a DBS CAR7 connector, and the kit will come with the XProg 3 programmer and the accessories regarding that programmer. And what is it the programming requires is to the anti-theft area. We need to program the keys if we lose the keys. Chipsets, it actually can program chipsets separately. EPROMs, if you need to program the EPROM separately or in the vehicle itself, adding a key. And then we give this ability to do the diagnosis, so read fault codes, data stream, give us a pre and post report. So it gives us all the one in one package and cover the vehicles that we need to cover in the different areas. Anti-theft devices have got more complicated now, and even down to changing ECUs. So these days anti-theft needs not just jumping a couple of bits of wire together to start the vehicle. They got more complicated over the years. Now most anti-theft devices have got to be programmed, and this regards the transponder key code matching the programmed code into the vehicle or those modules. And there could be a number of modules that the coding is stored. So basically the transponder key amplifier will then make sure that the EPROM's program with the key number 1 or so forth is matching before it turns on the engine ECU or other modules regarding this. And this comes down to actually programming some of the engine ECU's software or cloning the software. You need to access the security system first. So this kit has been developed to make it easier for the end user. And when do we need it? It's mainly when you use the keys, you lose keys the client has, or damage the keys. You can add additional keys, so the program can cater for that. And immobilizer, if you're replacing the whole immobilizer, you'll need to replace the unit and then program keys or match it to the other existing vehicle's communications. And engine systems replacement, so basically if you change a transmission computer module, it may need to be programmed for that vehicle and regarding security codes and also the parameters of that vehicle and adaptation and so forth. So it's all in one in the kit. And as we mentioned before, it's basically the scan tool, the basic Pro. Yes, it's a diagnostic tool that reads fault codes and basically codes the vehicle in some cases, but you'll need more these days regarding the security system to program some of the vehicles or clone some of the vehicles. So we've reduced a unit now to make it easier, not only to buy the purchase as one kit to do the purpose, but also easy to make the end user, make it easy to operate regarding the mobiliser key program or just the engine ECU cloning or programming. So the kit itself will cover a vast number of vehicles that these days we need to do these programming and key coding and security access before we do anything on the vehicle. So this is where the IMMO Pro comes into place. The tablet itself is in these specs, so it's basically the same ECU that we use, the quad-core ECU. The tablet's an 8-inch screen, and it has about 4 gig of memory in it, 64 gig of storage. It has a camera in it, so it has more of the features, 2 speakers. So we've added a lot more features to the tablet itself, and this is the new Pro Series tablet. The new connector is being developed now. We call it DBS Carve 7. Now this connector is hardwired directly via cable to the car itself. It doesn't plug directly in, you need a cable to it. Also it has new LED status lights that tell you what mode and what it's reading to and from the vehicle itself by the communications. So this is a brand new connector with this series. It also caters the new USB-C connector that the tablet requires. So again, this is different to the earlier DBS car connector. It covers all the protocols regarding the communications to the vehicles. So, but if you're using the DOIP, you'll need an adapter cable for this. But this is the only connector that you'll need it for. The voltages of the new connector is 9 to 18 volts. It's Bluetooth, or as I said, it hooks up to a USB cable to the tablet. If you're doing the programming, it's probably recommended to do that, and that's a USB-C cable. So you've got those options. The X-Prog 3, the kit, you might be aware of it already, that it's been added to as a separate module, but this kit will come complete with the cables, connectors, with the diagnostic connector all in one, with a new APK. And it's 12 volts, so it's not 24 volt or anything like that. You just to make sure that you're aware of the voltage of the connectors. Some parts of the connector is not used at the present moment, so the 12 volt access is not used. It's not necessary. Once you power it up via the diagnostic port of the connector, or power it externally via the connector, it will power up itself. So just be aware of that. And has a number of different ports, so depending upon the application of programming, you can actually access it by the chips can be accessed by the EEPROM slots, okay, and adapter boards to go to the EEPROM slot. Also the DIY slots where cable connection will go to this port, where you may have to externally connect it to the vehicle's ECU pins directly. The other side of the connector has the key access, where you slot your keys in to do the key programming and reading and writing, and other provisions where you need to put the IC in and so forth. The hooking it up is simple. It'll be illustrated into the scan tool, and it'll tell you instructions how to do this each time you go into that vehicle. So the mainly 2 ways of doing this is directly hooking it up via the car itself. Normally key programming, you hook it to the car and also the key programmer at the same time via the VCI, and then the scan tool is hooked up by Bluetooth or the USB cable itself. The other way is mainly for the engine, ECU and gearbox or transmission programming. It's usually done off the car on a bench, or it can be done on the car, but it's separate to hooking it up to the diagnostic connector. And the illustration shows you that you're not hooking up to the vehicle itself. You have an external power source to the cable. The PROG3 is plugged in, and then the external cables go to the actual engine ECUs directly via the pins itself. So this is the way it's done on this unit to cater for the requirements on some of the cloning and programming of the ECUs. The PROG3 also caters for chips where you have to remove the chip from the ECUs and to program a new one or clone it. So the kit comes with a couple of adaptive boards that you're required to do that. So this will be in the kit itself to program ECUs. Some ECUs you'll have to desolder and solder them on the board. Some of them have the socket that it can actually plug into the socket, then program it for easy. But this is a specialised area in most cases. The advances where before we had difficulty without using the OEMs or brand new ECUs, we can support now the VW and Audi platforms to replace or clone the engines directly. The gearboxes of VWs and Audis, we can support that. Replacing of the 4th generation Audi gearboxes, it caters that. Cloning of the 4th generation VW with UDS engines, communication engines protocol. Also the BMW chassis, which will be the F-set chassis, and also the anti-theft device functions. So we've got Volkswagen we cover, and Mercedes, BMW, and Toyota will come. And support major manufacturers of ECUs and EEPROM units. This is where the socket comes in handy. The IMMO also has a new APK file, so you need to understand that the APK will be different to the normal scan tool to make it easier access to the immobilizer and the IMMO programming area of it. It'll have it on the front interface now. So it just makes it a lot easier for the end user to operate the programming area. The IMMO programming, again, when you go into that, the IPK is just a matter of pressing the button and it enters those areas, and it gives you an example of the menus, so it's easier access. And also vehicle coverage. We will show you the vehicle coverage if you're not aware of what vehicles you can program and read and write regarding this programming. The diagnostic side of, again, this gives us the capability of giving you the full scan tool diagnostics. But with the Pro, why we need it is you need the reports. So you can actually add other little modules to the scan tool. So we are limited to a certain amount of modules on the Pro series, but you'll get all the diagnostic reports, the pre and post reports, and all the full systems diagnostics that you require to do the repair itself and clear DTCs and so forth. So that comes with this Pro unit. So the IMMO will also have the report area, the basic diagnostics regarding this. So all those features are there, read and write. And one thing you will have to be aware of is also the Pro has some functions not available to it, which will be the bidirectional functions. So you don't, the Pro will not come with the bidirectional functions. It will have service functions, but not bidirectional functions. The operating system, as I said, we're using the Android 10, version 10. It's got a larger memory and everything and storage. And the battery life of this tablet is a lot longer than the previous models of it. And we're also catering the new CAN FD and the DOP IP protocol. But again, with the DOP IP protocol, you will need a cable for that. The wireless connection, so we got both on the Diagnostics, so you can have Bluetooth like the normal, or cabling, which we recommend when you're doing the programming, and you'll have to switch it within the tablet. Let's say it's on USB, and you switch it to USB to do the management of the connector, which is simple to use. Now, regarding the Diagnostics side of the service functions of the scan tool, they're incorporated. We have 10 service functions on the IMMO Pro. Now, as I mentioned before, IMMO Pro does not have bidirectional functions, but it has the service functions, which is 10 service functions that you can see here in the APK. So just be aware of that. The information regarding social media and everything is still current. So we've got Facebook and all the via the website directly to launch, and the information that was there, and the diagnostic history is also for reporting there on the IMMO Pro. Now, the comparison with the IMMO Pro, if you had a Pro that you added a Prog 3 to it, the functions could change, but what we've done with the IMMO Pro now with as a standard kit with the new connector, the Android level is the tablet itself is using the Android level 10. It has an 8-inch tablet. The quad-core processor is a faster processor than the previous one. Also, we have 4 GB of RAM now and 64 GB of storage to the previous tablet itself. The rear camera is 8 megapixels now, so it's increased, and now we use the new DBS-CAR7 connector. It's still currently Bluetooth or USB, which is the new USB cable, which is the C type. And the battery's been increased, this tablet, and also the life of the battery life is increased with this tablet itself. Regarding functionality between the two, as I said, it's full functional. The IMMO Pro is not full functional, where we actually have no bidirectional in the tablet itself, because this unit is focused on immobilizer and key programming, so you've got to be aware of that. And this is where the main focus of this unit is, but it still acts like a normal scan tool regarding fault codes, data stream, and reporting of the unit itself. Now, the other thing is also with the previous model is to point out is the DOIP protocol. You couldn't do it with the normal Pro before, but now you can do it with the IMMO Pro, but you'll require a cable for that purposes. Regarding the oil functions, everything's there that the previous model had, but again we are focusing mainly on the immobilizer and the engine ECU programming of this unit itself. The vehicles at the moment comparison, the tablet, you can see that we can add more modules to the tablet where we could not do it before because of increase of memory. So now we can actually have the battery tester we added to it, but now you can actually add the oscilloscope and sensor box where you couldn't add that to the previous model of the Pro series. So this IMMO Pro, we can add the scope and sensor box to it and operate it, which you could not do that before. The targeted customers, mainly locksmiths areas, specialist areas. Special technicians will have it where some of them wanted to be able to remove the ECU and remove the chips in some cases, but most workshops be able to operate the basics of the programming and key functions, so that it is targeted in certain areas but not all, and some workshops now require to do some sort of programming, or even down to cloning when they do the transmission changeovers, where they could not do that before. In the accessory kit, we get all the connections, so the cables, the main power adapter will come in the kit, and a number of different special connections for the generation for all programming of the dash and so forth is required. So you need special cables which will come in the kit. Also, you can see that there's other number of different accessories, and for the bench mode cables we cater for that, and a few added boards which come in the kit. Okay, let's look at the IMMO pad unit. It's going to fit into the pad series, which is the higher end of our scan tool range, and it comes with the similar features that the pad series comes with. Now, with the IMMO pad, it gives us the capability to develop the diagnostic software, also the immobilizer key programming and engine ECU programming as required as a separate product, and the software then updates with that product with the development. So it gives us a professional anti-theft tool, and then also with the advanced diagnostics. The IMMO pad will come with the pad tablet, but with a new APK file. So the actual interface will slightly change to suit the immobilizer and the programming. The kit will come with everything that the pad series has, and this includes the SmartLink connector, and also the X-Prog3 programmer will come in the kit, and all the accessories related to the kit. The pad itself, it gives us then the ability to do the key programming and immobilizer programming, the chipset programming, EEPROM programming, and adding a key. And it also then has a full diagnostic systems with all systems, and regarding the SmartLink remote diagnosis will also come into play with the pad series. And also with the IMMO Pro, it will also come with the ability to do the J2534 protocol and the other protocols that's required to most of the communications of the vehicles now to date. So again, like the Pro, it's a very similar circumstances where the anti-theft system I've mentioned before is more complicated, and a lot more securities around each of the modules. So when you've got to program a module these days, you will still have to do the security clearance, which is to read the immobilizer and pass the immobilizer part of the vehicle, and then do the programming or coding of that vehicle itself. Again, loss of keys with the pad series, we could do it before, but we've made it with the IMMO Pro, IMMO pad. It makes the operator easy to do the function itself, to do the key programming and engine ECU programming and cloning. So again, you'll be able to do the immobilizer replacements and engine system replacement regarding transmission ECUs when you're doing the repair. The pad, IMMO pad will actually be much more beneficial in a way that we do need a lot more coding and programming. So against the standard pad series, with the programmer, it just adds another module in the kit that it's easier to purchase and easy to update that module for the end user. The tablet itself is the pad series. We still run the 7.1 of the Android operating system. It has the 4 gig of RAM and 64 gigabyte of storage. So this is a 10-inch 10.1 inch tablet with an IP rating of 65. And it also comes with the two USB ports, which is USB-A and USB-C is equipped with this unit. The SmartLink connector is standard to this series, so again it gives you the ability to do the functions regarding the remote diagnosis with SmartLink, also the programming with the J2534 protocol, and be able to read not only passenger vehicles, also the commercial vehicles with the same connector. The voltage of the connector is higher in this model, which goes to 9 volts to 36 volts, so it caters for 24 volt systems. The memory is a lot larger, it's 256 and 8 gigabytes of storage. The X-prog3 I mentioned earlier in the Pro series, as said, is the same unit, but we have added to the pad model, and then it becomes the IMMO pad series. Again, be careful of the voltage. The voltage of this unit is not 24 volt but 12 volt when you're doing the bench programming, and also hogging up to the vehicle itself. At the moment it doesn't do commercial vehicles if it's 24 volt. The connections are similar depending upon you programming the keys. It'll plug directly into the vehicle and also the PROG3 to do the key programming at the same time. But on the ECUs where you need to program the gearbox or engine cloning, you will do that on the bench, which will be off the vehicle, not hooked up to the vehicle, but hooked onto a bench and power supply to do the programming or cloning from one ECU to another. The kit also comes standard with all the readers, so if it's a chip that has to be removed from the board to be programmed for some reason, or desoldered from the board and then soldered back onto a universal board to do the programming, we do supply those two boards to do that operation. Advances are the same as before. We cater all the VW's now platforms that we could not do before, so we do the replacement ECUs and cloning, and it's very common to do the cloning. It's a lot easier, where you're just cloning the security systems and everything, and regarding the security systems into the engine ECU regarding that module. The gearboxes are the same. I won't mention that over this, but we talked about this earlier. Also the same as the BMW E-chassis and the Bosch and Siemens engine ECUs. We can do some of the programming in that area. The Anifest functions, again, we'll be covering all the Volkswagens, Skodas, BMWs, Mercedes and Toyota. And as development goes on, if it's required, it will be added to this area for these functions regarding the anti-theft systems themselves. To match all the integration. So it's one unit that does a lot of tasks and a lot of areas that you're required to do the programming of the modules or the keys to today's vehicles. And this just shows you the again what it supports. As I mentioned before, the APK will be changed to suit the immobilizer function, so it's easier to the end user to operate, and also the programming of the keys and so forth will be at the front, so it'll be actually easier to operate. The IMMO probe again is to do with the EEPROMs, gearbox cloning and reading of the chips, and we cover a lot of EEPROMs, which can be up to 1,000, a lot of different types of EEPROMs used in automotive ECUs. So again, we can cater that, and as development is required, we can add it to this this product range. The diagnostics side is exactly the same as the pad. We can do all the pre and post reports that's necessary. A full system diagnosis. This is with the topology and everything included. And also what's included is other features regarding online programming. So the pad will cover more than 110 plus models, and it's increasing each year goes by. Its functions will be to do with everything that we have with regarding the pad series. So this includes the bidirectional, which again I earlier mentioned that the Pro does not have bidirectional, but the pad series do have the bidirectional and coding and programming as standard. It covers all the protocols regarding CAN bus and CAN bus FD and so forth. And you do not need a connector regarding the DOIP communications. It's standard in the SmartLink connection. And then we also have the feature regarding SmartLink remote diagnosis. So this is an added feature with the pad series of IMMO pad. ADAS is added to it. This is an option. Again, with the pad series, we had this. The IMMO pad is the same. We can add the ADAS Pro series or the ADAS Mobile into the software as an option. TPMS, we can add the ST gun and wand to the module and add to it. The service functions, we have 25 functions in the IMMO pad series, and also the more we can purchase other software if it's required in those areas. So it includes all the service functions that we do. The diagnostics regarding the information center, we cover all the social media like the previous models regarding Facebook and the website. The history reports and everything are still there regarding that too. The comparison between the two, as I said, we're adding the X-prog3 to the unit. So if you had a pad previously, a pad V, and you add the prog3, there's not much variation in it, except there's a few features regarding there's no charging station because the IMMO pad has a different charge port. It's a different tablet. The other features regarding this is it's a full system, so you can see that all the modules and functions regarding the pad series is in the same in the IMMO pad. The service functions completely, but again we focus on all the functions regarding the servicing, but the APK is changed to focus mainly on the mobilizer programming and also ECU programming. So it's at the front screen, which is different to the previous model. All the modules can be added to the IMMO pad. So all the scope modules, video scope, again can be accessorized up to give you the full capabilities of the diagnostic side of it. Again, the target customers is workshops, locksmiths, but again, today's vehicles, a lot of customers regarding workshops will require to do both the ECU programming and coding. So we can give them the choice with the IMMO pad, so we can actually completely do the job from right down to key programming, ECU cloning, and also do online programming if it's required to that vehicle in that region. So we are catering the complete job where we could not, a lot of manufacturers cannot do that. The accessories with iProg3, X-prog3, Again, it will come with exactly the same kit that I mentioned earlier in the Pro series, but power supplies and so forth. And as I mentioned before, the power supply is 12 volts, so you need to power it up externally if it's a 24 volt system to be programmed. But normally the programming will be done on the bench to do the cloning of the ECUs, which will be a lower voltage. So the accessories are complete to do with most of the coding and programming at present moment with the software. But as said, as development is required, other functions and other hardware can be added to the kit itself. So if you've got any questions regarding this product range, you're our best to contact the dealer manager of your region, and any questions, or the PPT also is available to you. So regarding showing your clients or customers, you can ask for the PPT and it will be supplied to you. So thanks again for this long session, but it's just again we're improving and we wanted to release a product for the end of this quarter. And the IMMO Pro and the IMMO Pro IMMO Pad is one of the newest products that we'll be releasing in this quarter. So thank you. Okay, regarding the questions, what we'll do is you can, as I said, contact your product managers regarding the questions themselves. Regarding the IMMO product range, the Pro and the Pad series, the difference will be that we've actually produced a product line. So there'll be a lot more and faster development regarding this area, regarding these two products. Now, a lot of questions will be asked if we can't do certain chips. Those again will come in the same as what we do with the software. If a product or chip can't be read regarding the Prog 3, what will happen is it'll have support behind that to actually do the development. So again, we've put it on a product line now regarding the development of the product and in the future of the product. Where before we just added it on and done a bit of software when we got time to do the software range. But because the IMMO product has gone to a product line now, it will actually be dedicated to do that development around that products themselves. So you'll see a lot more future development regarding these products themselves. So the best thing is, if you've got any questions regarding that, I can't answer it at the moment. As I said, it's very new, but we're putting these products this quarter out, and the development of it will start in the new year. Some of the software may be transferred to the older Pros. Now, regarding the old Pro and the new Pro, it's to do with the memory and the speed of the processor on the actual tablet to do the storage and so forth. And that's where you might find a problem with the old and the new. So this is why we brought out a new product, so it actually can handle the future of the programming and cloning of the ECUs. Now, regarding programming, it's not only to the vehicles and mobilizers, but also single chips regarding airbag data and so forth. So they can actually be used in the future to actually do the data, clearing of the crash data and so forth. So this is where we're looking at in the future regarding the IMMO Pro and the IMMO Pad series. So if you've got any questions for tonight, it's best to jot them down and contact the managers. I'll try. As I said, I haven't got all the answers now. I may be able to answer some questions regarding this. But what I'll do is I'll just show you some of the pictures of the Pad series and regarding the development, what's involved with it, because as I said, it will take time to development. We need to have a new product line to do this, to fix the problems in the future and actually new development. So for an example, I've got this live now regarding a Pro series, and you can see me operating it in a camera here and the series. So I'm actually using part of the software now on the tablet. For an example, for a single chip, we will actually develop a lot more chips involved, and then it's the actual wiring diagrams that has to be downloaded to the tablet and then displayed. Now this is an example of what you will see and how to hook it up if it has to be directly to the ECUs themselves to do the reprogramming. So it can be a specialized area. So depending upon that, we're trying to cater from not just the normal mechanic to do it, but a specialist to do it also with the one product. And that's where we're aiming for this new product line to go. So for instance, when you operate the scan tool, if you haven't seen it before, it will have different menus. So again, it will actually show you how to hook it all up. And then regarding gearboxes and so forth, we will actually enter into the different gearboxes. And this is where the development will come with the different vehicle makes and models, and also the information regarding how to hook it all up, if it's hooked up directly to the vehicle or on the bench. In most cases these days, some of them are single chips, so you need to actually hook up directly on a bench and follow the instructions regarding that. So this is just an example of the backup area on the screen, so you can actually back up the data. And also in some cases we've got comparison, where we can compare the data between a good or a bad information, and that will come. So again, the wiring diagrams will have to be downloaded, so it'll have to be online. And then you've got the information and pictures regarding the connections to the Prog 3. So this is the future of the development of the this IMMO series. So I hope you, it's only a short presentation, so if you've got any questions, I'll be on here for a little bit longer, and some of the boys at HQ are online. If not, you're best to contact your managers, and we'll share the information. Now regarding tonight's presentation, as I mentioned, I've put this on Facebook and I'm recording it, and I've also recorded this session, so you can play it back later or use it for your clientele later on in after this presentation. So again, thank you very much for attending tonight, and I hope we'll answer some of the questions in the future regarding this new product. Thank you. Regarding the EPROMs of some of the vehicles to wipe them, it depends on the development and what's available, because erasing EPROMs and everything is not as easy, and also the age of the vehicle could be an issue. Getting when they do the development, you've got to actually access those chips, and like any programming, it's a good or a bad, and you have to have both. So you've actually got to record a very good information and then transfer it to the vehicle itself. It's a little bit different than cloning. Cloning, you're just copying up from the existing vehicle, but when it comes to single chips and EPROMs, you actually have to have a good or bad and the right correct data. So it's a little bit more difficult, and this is where the development will have to come in later on. Especially if you're a techo where you're doing it on the bench, there's a lot more involved regarding comparing the data and pulling the good or bad, especially if you're doing airbag crash data arrays. It's a little more involved regarding that. So it's great to see everybody from different countries actually for tonight. And again, the information regarding the car coverage, again, once the IMMO Pro starts getting development, we'll actually post it on the car coverage, and then it'll build from there, same as the vehicle software and the commercial vehicle software is done at the present time. So once we do the updating or the development of the software, we'll place it on the qcar.x431.com site for the tested vehicle area, and you'll be able to see that from the scan tool itself. Regarding the new connector, if I can show you that, regarding this is the new DBS Car 7 connector. So this is actually different to the previous Pro. It has a lot more features because of regarding communications that it couldn't do with a Pro before. And also it has front LED lights in the front of it. I might be able to actually power that up for you. So you might see the LED lights now. So it's a lot different. The DBS car connector is a lot different. It's the newer model. Alright, so that's the end of the session. I'd like to thank you again attending, and we'll let you know the next video presentation in the future.